Greetings and thank you for joining us for the 8th annual Welcome Home Luncheon, the virtual edition. I'm Meredith Schweitzer, the Executive Director for Homeward Bound. As many of you know, each year we've hosted this event. It's been accompanied by a meal. The first 5 years it was a breakfast, and then it became a luncheon. In the last 2 years, Ingalls Markets has been our presenting sponsor and provided our guests with a delicious buffet lunch that was enjoyed by all of us who gathered together to help support the important work of ending homelessness in our community. This year, even though we can't actually be in the same room and I can't see your faces, I can certainly feel your presence and your open-heartedness. You wouldn't have taken the time to tune into this virtual event if you didn't really care about this work and you weren't committed to helping those who are most in need, our most vulnerable neighbors. Homelessness is a community issue that impacts all of us. How many of us are one medical emergency or a prolonged illness away from homelessness? The causes of homelessness vary, but the most common are economic challenges, domestic violence, job loss, chronic health conditions, mental illness, and of course, a lack of affordable housing. Almost everyone knows someone who's been touched by one of these situations. However, most of us have a support system that helps us through whatever life crisis comes our way. But what happens when those support systems fail or they simply don't exist? The coronavirus has created anxiety, isolation, and even trauma for many of us across the country and in our own community. Can you imagine going through this pandemic without the safety and comfort of your own home? Across the nation, 35% of the homeless population lives unsheltered, which means they can't access shelter at night. In Asheville, that's 37.5% out of an estimated 600 people. This is tragic. But there is a solution, and we are really excited to tell you all about it today. Please settle in, enjoy your personally crafted lunch, and listen to some inspiration from folks who have lived through the struggles of being homeless and the service providers they rely on. First up is a spoken word performance by Shanita Jackson, a courageous young woman who, along with her mother, experienced homelessness during her school-age years. This is her love poem to her mother.
We find more stability in cardboard boxes than in mailing addresses. Seeing everything packaged and labeled just makes more sense. Our minds are more at ease when the lock clicks on the storage unit. We didn't realize how much glass we consisted of until we heard the rustling of newspaper bandages and counted how many boxes were labeled fragile until we stood, frozen at foreign threshold, all burning sand and swallowed gems, gazing upon each other's pride, tracing broken wine glasses with indignant stares. You hid your fissures for as long as you could, until a crack split the tenor in your voice and failure spilled from your lips. You fear that being homeless makes you a bad mother, that residency solidifies success as if 445 West Dermot, 80 Hope Circle, Rainbow Motel, and South Wind Motel were more haven than Hades, but it is not coincidence that mama and home are synonymous. It is not coincidence that I look to your feet for foundation. See, I find home in the depths of your dimples, in the way they pull back the curtains of your mouth to reveal a grin, encouraged by the prayers perched on your tongue. I find home in the way that you don't always have a solution, but you always have an answer. There was always consistency burrowed in your arms, along with the determination to keep going. I find strength in the way that we compacted 5 years into 14 feet, filling every square inch with our "it's gonna be all right" mentality. I find home in the scent of your work clothes, smelling like 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week, 7P to 7A in health complications. I find peace in your vocal lessons, and the way you teach me by example how to cry and sing in the shower. Let the off-tuned tone of my tears create a musical. Let each droplet be sheet music. Let God orchestrate anxiety into a symphony. There is home in the way that you take the time to smile, more for me than for yourself, in defiance of circumstance, in rebuttal to urgency, daring life to throw something else at us. And on those dark nights, when the doubts start creeping in, remember that home is not tangible. Home is not failure or accomplishment. It is not an address. It is not rent. It is not eviction. It is not dictated by housing authority. Home is the fact that I spent 10 months inside your belly, refusing to leave until I was forced, and maintaining that mentality till this day. It is the way we seem to feed off each other, even though the umbilical cord was severed long ago. And mama, that is one thing they cannot take away from us. You still fight for me. Shelter me from every storm. There is no failure in that. You are heart. Therefore, you are home. You are all I know. For us, being home is being stubborn enough to laugh, suitcases and jokes in hand, and walk out into the cold without looking back.
Thank you, Shanita. Shanita and her mother, like the families and individuals that Homeward Bound serves, experienced the trauma of losing their home. That experience does damage that stays with you for a lifetime. Sayings like, home is where the heart is, there's no place like home, and Maya Angelou's notable quote, the ache for home lives in all of us, that safe place where we can go as we are and not be questioned, express the significance of having a home. It provides safety, security, and comfort. Being without one is, well, it's unimaginable. The largest group of homeless clients that Homeward Bound serves are veterans. In fact, Buncombe County has the largest population of homeless veterans in North Carolina, which as of 2019 was 28% of all veterans experiencing homelessness in North Carolina. Veterans face unique challenges, higher levels of incarceration, poverty, homelessness, and mental health issues compared to the population at large. And among veterans, women are the fastest growing segment of the homeless population. Last year, our Veterans Services Program ended homelessness for 37 veterans and prevented homelessness for 36 more. I'm going to read you a letter right now from one of our veterans named David, who recently moved into housing because of Homeward Bound. First, I would like to thank Homeward Bound, especially Catherine and Miranda, for their dedicated service. Being homeless for a long time has opened my eyes in many ways. I realized first that homeless people are human beings that deserve respect and dignity as much as anyone else. The reason many people are homeless is based on many factors. It may be lack of money, mental health issues, alcohol or drug use. Sometimes it isn't just one problem, but many, and then it becomes more challenging and difficult for that person to conquer it. Even though personally I haven't had alcohol or drug issues, there was always something holding me back. To this day, I can't put my finger on it. Something in my head, my thoughts, perhaps the way I viewed the world, but having a home is the solution. Housing solves the immediate problem of getting the homeless off the streets and gives them a sense of dignity. People walk over them. They ignore them. They don't even look at them. That makes them feel pretty bad. Take a homeless person that's being ignored by society and put them into housing. Make them feel like a human being again, with dignity, and then you can begin to work on the issues like addiction and mental health issues. Speaking for myself, I've been homeless for so long. Having a home is a godsend. Look at the things I can do with my life now. Find employment, maybe volunteer, and be active in the community. Housing is the first step. Housing people because it's a basic human right, just like food and clothing. If a homeless person had a home or an apartment, a feeling of safety and security will envelop that person. Now we can begin to fix the problems we face. Let us stop wasting money on programs that just don't work. Housing is the solution to fix the homeless problem. It worked for me, and it can work for you too. Thank you to David for that heartfelt letter. And now I'm pleased to share with you a short film by Katie Damien, award-winning director and longtime friend of Homeward Bound. It not only depicts our efforts to end homelessness, but highlights our inspiration for doing this difficult work. You will get to meet our staff, and you will also see how they are the frontline folks every day during this crisis, and they are literally putting their lives on the line. I hope it will leave you inspired as well. Let's take a look.
I heard stories, people just sleeping in a tent, somebody coming around hitting them with baseball bats.
When I was first diagnosed with schizophrenia, I told my mom I needed an exorcism because I was seeing demons around me all the time, and I felt like I was burning.
Being homeless is very difficult on people's bodies and spirit. The medical damage that's done to someone, it's not reversible.
It's all day, every day, hearing voices. Without the medication, I would be talking to the walls. I'll probably be under a bridge tonight.
My dad was abusive, alcoholic, drug addict. But I've been homeless since I was 15. So now I'm living in like a 4-man tent.
I have PTSD and anxiety real bad. If somebody comes up behind me, touches me from my back, I swing, and I ain't out here to hurt nobody. I used to be a coal miner. I lose my balance, I've been hitting the head. I'm 61 now.
There are services for folks who are experiencing homelessness, but there's not enough.
And right here in Asheville, Buncombe County, on any given night, there are 500 to 600 people who are experiencing homelessness.
We don't have nearly enough shelter beds in Asheville to cover the population of homeless folks.
My first year here, I worked with a gentleman. He was asked to leave where he was currently housed with us. Because of the housing crisis in our community, we didn't have a place to move him immediately in. So there was this gap. He was going to have to stay outside or in shelter. It was in the winter, and within a matter of a week, he was found, had frozen to death.
You know, I've seen a lot of people die outdoors. A lot of people every year.
Yeah, it's amazing how you don't hear about folks who are homeless dying. It's not something that makes the news very often, but it does happen.
We will work with someone, we will have them ready to go into housing, but we can't find a place. They're doing everything right, and we're doing all that we can do, but when housing doesn't exist, it doesn't exist.
But see, there's a lot of elderly out here, and they live on the street because the housing authority don't have room for them.
Housing authority is trying the best they can. The reality is that there is not enough of their units to house the population that's in demand. You can put in applications to get into income-based rentals around here, but the wait lists are 2 years long.
You know, even when we move someone into housing, as exciting as that is, you know, we have 20 more people coming through our door, and what do we do with that? It's really hard to not get down.
You know, I think the first step is to get people to actually agree on what it is they want to do about homelessness, that we actually want to solve it rather than just push people out to the edges where we don't have to see them anymore.
We didn't sign on to Medicaid expansion, so we have a lot of people who don't have health care, who don't have health coverage, which means big hospital bills, big doctor bills. If you're not doing well health-wise and you rack up $500 in a month, if you don't pay that $500, the doctor's not going to let you come back.
I've had to call 911 for gout because I couldn't get to the hospital. You know, and that's something that's not a life-threatening emergency. You know, I just had gout. I could not walk, and I had to get to the hospital, and I had to call 911 because I didn't have another resource to get there.
You know, we have folks who are living outside who have cancer, you know, and they don't have a consistent way to get to treatment options and do that, and so they just don't.
One of the things that I believe it has become so apparent in this COVID-19 crisis is that housing is healthcare. If you don't have shelter, you cannot shelter in place, and they're saying that the safest place to be is at home. And if you don't have a home, you don't have that healthcare option. The Harrah's Cherokee Center became an option, and we literally found out on a Monday that this was a possibility. By Wednesday, we had opened up. And so within about 48 hours, we had secured what we needed to open up beds for 50 people who were the most vulnerable in our community. Our staff are amazing, and we've seen it right now. I've always known how amazing they are, but when you have a crisis like COVID-19, you see how people quickly come together, and they are driven by passion, compassion, and dedication to this work.
What I think Homeward Bound is, and what we do differently than other agencies in our community, is we're all about relationships. Everything we do is about figuring out what that person needs at that time.
The mission of Homeward Bound is to end homelessness.
To end homelessness, we use a model called Housing First.
And then we're also offering them long-term case management. So the case management piece is really key.
And our goal, of course, is to get every person who comes into AHOPE into permanent housing.
AHOPE specifically, like our main deal is to create like a welcoming space for folks who might not have that outside of the day center.
It is the place where people can come every day and find respite. They can find access to services such as their case managers. They can make phone calls. They can come and get a cup of coffee, or they can fellowship with others who are experiencing the same walk in life.
We have between 175 and 200 people coming into AHOPE every day. We have 5 or 6 staff. We have a handful of volunteers, which are just vital to what we do. But the challenge of engaging that many people is always difficult.
The Woodfin Project is a permanent supportive housing apartment complex. We have 18 clients who are currently living there, and it has 24-hour, 7 days a week service and security. We have on-site case management.
And us being on site and us being really the landlord here allows us to work with clients on a closer basis.
We have people here in the Woodfin Project that's part of permanent supportive housing who our community looked at and basically said they're never going to make it in housing. They'll always be homeless. And we've been able to show with this project that with ongoing case management and support, these folks are thriving in housing, and they are surviving in housing, and they're not going back into homelessness.
Most of the folks that are in here, for a long time, they've just needed a door that locked to help them start to kind of come out of that crisis from being homeless. And they now have it, which they could have never had before.
I think what makes Homeward Bound so unique in our community is that we have no barriers to housing, no barriers to services. We welcome all. We believe that housing is a human right, and we are not going to say, if you jump through this hoop, we'll give you services, or if you meet this particular requirement, you will deserve housing. Again, we believe that it's a human right.
And we're working people, whether they have jobs or not, or whether they have family or not, whether they have income or not. So we're trying to be as low barrier as possible.
Because we believe in the absolute value and worth of every human being. We have chosen to be the agency that says, yes, we will not leave anyone behind. We will not leave anyone outside. As long as someone's sleeping outside, we will continue to work to end homelessness.
At the end of the day, I'm able to see that we're making a difference. in people's lives, and I am firsthand watching people's lives change for the better.
Just that relief of knowing and seeing people's hope come back into their eyes when they are offered a place, that's the most rewarding thing.
What I do see, and what I have seen, I see it every day, is actual individual people experiencing homelessness that are no longer homeless. People that are experiencing mental illness and suffering from the effects of that mental illness, no longer suffering from those effects to the same degree. People that are living with addiction, getting into recovery. I see that every single day, and so absolutely there's success. Absolutely, Homeward Bound makes differences in people's lives that are unquantifiable.
I do believe that homelessness is a solvable issue, 100%. It's real easy. Get folks into housing, provide them support they need, and you end homelessness. And that's what we do.
A-Hope is a success story every day because it literally saves lives. They know they can come there every day and they will be treated with dignity and respect. And that is really, really important.
As an agency, a lot of our funding comes from HUD, and we've maxed out our HUD grants just as much as we can. I have squeezed every person onto a HUD grant that I can squeeze, and there's just not enough. And so we do need resources. We need more financial support. We need more political support. We need more hands-on support.
The resources are limited. We certainly don't have enough staff at A-Hope, but the bigger problem is that we don't have enough housing.
Generally, we tend to talk as if the people, who work downtown and live in apartments downtown are the community, and the community needs to figure out what to do about these other people that are on the streets, when in fact we're all just one community.
I think as a community, we all have to really believe in the value of each individual, and that we want people to have housing because it's a basic human right.
We have the know-how to end homelessness. We have a model, Housing First, which we know works. There are the resources here in this community. All we need is the will to do it.
Wow, the video we just saw provides an eye-opening depiction of our community's need and the importance of Homeward Bound's work. Hello and good afternoon. My name is Chris Youngblood. I'm a commercial banker at First Bank here in Asheville. I have the pleasure of serving on Homeward Bound's Board of Directors as Treasurer and Chair of the Finance Committee. In 2016, I lost a good friend. Greg, my college roommate, battled untreated mental illness and went from the Dean's List at the University of Georgia to being homeless in Atlanta. Greg lost his dad, was estranged from his mother, and saw his support network gradually diminish over the years after college. For almost 20 years, Greg shacked up in friends' houses and couch surfed. Just after college, Greg lived with my wife and I until we asked him to leave and helped him find an apartment nearby. A few days before my 40th birthday, the friends that Greg was currently living with asked him to make other living arrangements as well, something Greg had probably heard by many times by then. That was the last couch Greg would sleep on. I received a call during my birthday party letting me know that Greg took his own life. Not long after Greg died, I heard about what Homeward Bound does for our community, and I knew I had to be involved. I think Greg might still be alive today if he had a support network like Homeward Bound. Many of you joining us today have already made a recent contribution to Homeward Bound, some of you several times. To all of you, the individuals, businesses, faith communities, private and family foundations who have made the work of our staff and volunteers possible, we offer our sincere and deepest thanks. I hope that our program has given you a clear picture of the impact and importance of your support. We could not do this without you. If you are new to Homeward Bound or have not given recently, I want to ask you to consider joining with the rest of us today and make a contribution to support this vital and life-saving work. A gift of any size will make a difference, whether it is $25 or $5,000. My wife Courtney and I are members of a Homeward Bound leadership giving circle called the Key Society. Members contribute $1,200 or more on an annual basis to support the work of Homeward Bound. For those of you who are able, I invite you to join this giving circle with us. Giving is easy and can be done in a number of ways. The quickest way is to simply make an online donation. Just click the Donate Now button on our website and follow the prompts. You can also write a check, donate through an IRA, contribute through your donor advised fund, or make a donation of stock. On our donate page, you will find our contact information if you have questions or would like more information. The impact of your gift is greater today because one of our very generous donors has offered to match dollar for dollar all gifts up to $25,000. Again, thank you to everyone supporting Homeward Bound's work to end homelessness. Now, I want to introduce a local singer-songwriter, storyteller, tireless advocate for many good causes, and friend of Homeward Bound, David LaMotte.
Hey friends of Homeward Bound, it's David LaMotte greeting you from my backyard in Black Mountain, North Carolina. I so wish I could be in the same room with you today, but let's give each other the space we need to be healthy a little while longer and find creative ways to be community. Homeward Bound's been finding creative ways to be community for folks who are often excluded for a lot of years, and I'm really grateful to get to be with y'all, at least virtually today, celebrating that work and trying to support it. If you can support it, if you're in a place where you're stable yourself right now, if you can chip in a little bit to keep this work going, please do. It's extremely important work, and this is what it means to be community, right? This is the thing about homelessness. Homelessness happens, it is an economic issue, but more than that, it's a community issue. You become homeless when you run out of people to call. And Homeward Bound has been, for years, making sure that people never quite run out, being that community of last resort. And so I'm grateful for the work y'all are doing there at Homeward Bound and for the work the larger community is doing to support that. Y'all keep up the good work. I want to play you a brand new song. I actually talked with Jim Louder about what song I would play today, and we picked one. And I could play that one, but I wrote this brand new song, and I think it's the right one for the day. So I'm going to share this one for you. It's called Here For You. Looking out my Monday window with so few cars driving by, the main street of this river town is strangely still and quiet. The days flow on so slowly with no rhythm to the song, trying to dodge the boulders as the river rolls along. Monday night there was a meeting at the VFW. They said we're all in the same boat, but it really isn't true. 'Cause some boats have big motors, some have wooden oars. Some folks are in the water, trying to make it to the shore. Our lives hang by a thread. To weave those threads together, they will make a rope that's strong enough to hold on to each other. If we all will pull a little, then just maybe we'll pull through. As long as I am here, we'll be here for you. There are many who need comfort, there are many mouths to feed. So bring what you can offer and ask for what you need. Let's be gentle with each other. We won't always get it right. You don't have to be a hero, just lean a little toward the light. You don't have to say you're okay, let's just stick to what is true. You don't have to smile and fake it, God knows I'm struggling too. Here with you. Our lives hang by a thread, but you weave those threads together. They will make a rope that's strong enough to hold on to each other. If we all will pull a little, then just maybe we'll pull through. As long as I am here, as long as I am here, I will be here for you. Y'all take care of yourselves and each other. Do what you can to support the work of Homeward Bound. They really matter in this community. And we all do need to pull together, and maybe we will pull through if we can remember how to be community. It's an honor to stand in the circle with y'all. Take care.
That was beautiful, David. Thank you. And to those of you joining us for this special occasion, we are grateful for your time and compassion. Your generosity has been amazing. We recognize that many gifts are still coming in and will continue to come in during this program, and we are overwhelmed by your generosity. We promise to be good stewards of your support, and your gifts will go directly to ending homelessness in our very own community. They will do this by providing stability and safety for individuals and families when Homeward Bound finds them a home, by providing compassionate and supportive case management so they can overcome the challenges they face and sustain their housing. We will do this by supplementing the high rents in Asheville that are not covered by federal grants, by covering unbudgeted emergency expenses we've incurred because of the coronavirus pandemic, and as our veteran David said in his heartfelt letter, by giving folks a home. It will make them feel like human beings again, with dignity and respect, and allow them the space to grow into their best selves. As we conclude our event today, I want to thank our amazing sponsors: Ingles Markets, Wicked Weed Brewing, JAG Construction, AVL Technologies and the Oliver family, MB Haynes Corporation, Plum Dog Financial, Home Trust Bank, Brunk Auctions, Katie Button Restaurants, Harris Cherokee Casino, Biltmore Company, Symmetry Financial Group, and Henco North. And a big thank you to Ken and Ida Brown for their $25,000 gift match. We have reached and surpassed that because so many of you have generously donated, and for an incredible announcement, one donor, Dr. Brown Crosby, has given us $250,000. Dr. Crosby, we cannot thank you enough. You are our hero. And frankly, all of you are heroes to us. Your contributions will impact the lives of so many people struggling with the pain of homelessness. Together as a community, we can ensure that everyone has the right to live in security, peace, and dignity. Thank you for watching, and we hope that all of you will be safe and well. Thank you.